Hi, this is Laura Pepperby with 30 Day Books, and today we have a guest, Kimanzi Constable, who is an author and speaker, and he is the author of The Difference Between Living and Existing, a 9-month plan to radically change your life. Hi, Kimanzi, how are you?
I'm good, Laura. Thank you for having me. It's very cool to talk to you.
Great. So I want to talk a bit about the reason why I chose to interview you today and my new book, which is about self-publishing as a way to create your ideal and lifestyle and to really create an online business around this new opportunity that we have to self-publish and to create our content and to get it out there into the wider world. And I saw the title of your book and it really grasped me. It caught my attention because you are doing exactly what I am proposing people can do these days, which is just to really live the life that they want to live. And it made me laugh because your Skype tagline is something like life is too short to be miserable, right? Which is your whole philosophy that you shouldn't stay in a job or a lifestyle that you hate, and that we do have the opportunities to create an online business around our writing and our books, and to really live the lives that we want to live. So obviously from the title of your book we all know that you had an exciting and radical um, life shift at some point in the recent years. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened and what really sparked that change for you?
I think, in a nutshell, it's realizing how short life is. I had a couple friends that had died last year, and even my father had died earlier this year. And I just think, we're not guaranteed anything. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And when I thought about my life and the things that I was doing, and I thought, if I died, have I done everything that I wanted to do in life? And could I honestly say that, I've tried, at least tried to do those things? And the answer was no, no, no.
Right.
You know? And there's a lot of things that I want to do in my life, and a lot of things that I've talked about doing for a long time. Like, for example, losing weight was one of those things. And a couple of years ago, I went after it hardcore, and
Mm-hmm.
I lost 132 pounds in 6 months.
Wow.
And it was extreme though. I was eating 1,000 calories a day. I was only eating one meal a day, and I was doing 4 hours of cardio. So yeah, the weight came off, but my wife didn't want to be around me. I was always cranky
Oh
and
yeah.
weird, and it just wasn't the right way.
Right.
And then in the end, what happened? Since I didn't do it the right way, I gained it all back. And well, I live in Wisconsin, and I've been here my whole life, and I just honestly I hate snow.
You're in the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. But then I thought, if I hate snow, why am I still in Wisconsin? And this is where I was born. This is where my parents are. And so we kind of stick to what we know. And so even though, this might not be what we want, we stay here just because it's what we know.
Right.
And so, I want to move. And my wife wanted to move. And that's the second thing. And then the third thing was work. And work was probably the biggest one for me. And I was in a job that I absolutely hated with everything that was in me.
Go on,
You know,
tell us about the job. How bad was it?
well, I delivered bread
Okay.
and did it at 1 a.m. every day. And I think that's probably the biggest part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And as my kids started getting older and they had school plays and everything, getting 3 hours of sleep wasn't cutting it anymore. And then the company got bought out by a bigger company, and there's a lot of politics that go on with that, and it was miserable for everybody.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm getting out of this. I'm not doing this anymore. It's 12 years of my life that I had done it, and when it came time to take action, I made every excuse in the book, and I kind of just forgot about everything I said I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about it for a year before I finally took action. And those are the three things that prompted me to write The Difference Between Living and Existing.
Okay, so just to recap, that was you were unhappy with your weight and your health. It was the second thing was moving. You wanted to move out of Wisconsin, and then you were in a job that you were unhappy with. So those are three major things, right, that you that you have to change. Is this something that you just decided to do? You know, how does someone implement such big changes in their life? And I'm guessing from the title that this took you 9 months. Did you sit down and plan it, or is this something that kind of evolved during those 9 months?
I would say it's a little both. You know,
Okay.
I'd planned out some things, but then as I went on the journey, then there was other things that I realized, and I started journaling it, documenting it, and the book is my game plan. What I used to get to where I want to get in life, to truly live.
Right.
And it's a crazy journey, and it's not easy, and a lot of times you want to give up and quit, and sometimes it is easier to quit. But you know what? I knew I had to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So the part that I'm really interested in, aside from as well as losing the weight and moving out of Wisconsin, which is both fascinating, but the part I want to focus on is how did you change your career? How did you go from a job that you absolutely hated to a completely different field, a completely different industry, which is you have an online business. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the business, and then from there we'll talk about how you made that happen?
Well, it started by I'd always loved to write when I was younger, and I had an ex-girlfriend told me I always knew you were going to be a writer. You used to write me love letters that were 12 pages front and back.
That's a sign of a writer, that's for sure.
I always loved to write and poems and everything, but then as I got older, it's like, oh, you can't make a living off of writing,
Right.
so I kind of let it die. But then once everything started happening at work with the larger company and whatnot, I started journaling everything that was going on. And after about a couple weeks, I looked down in this notebook and I'm like, man, you have a lot of material here.
Right.
I wonder if you could do anything with it. And I thought, well, I'm not going to try to get a literary agent or a publisher, or, nobody's going to listen to this. But then I had come across on the internet the story of Amanda Hawking, and to see what she had done. And I was just, she had sold 1 million copies of her ebooks. And I thought, man, if she could sell 1 million, maybe I could sell 10,000, and that would be enough to move on. So I got the book professionally done, and that was hard for me because I don't have a lot of disposable cash. So it meant having to work overtime and, get the change out of the couch, just anywhere I could find extra money
Right.
to pay the formatter, the editor, and designer. But then I did it. I paid somebody to design a website, and I got on social media, and I let everybody in the world know that the book was coming. And I thought my strategy was numbers. I'll build up my Facebook and Twitter, and I'll just get this massive following, and then I'll keep spamming them that the book is coming. And that's what I did. And the book came out, and the first 2 months I sold 11 copies, and I was crushed. I did all this work, and I told everybody, and a lot of people had told me, yeah, when your book comes out, I'm gonna buy it. And it was talking. I was crushed.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go back to the drawing board, and I had to ask myself, what was more important. And along the way, I figured out that even if I didn't make another dollar, I love to write, and I also want to help people with their work. And I also want people to see that, you don't have to be miserable in your work, and that if you are miserable in your work, it will seep into every other area of your life.
Right.
And so I started blogging, really blogging, blogging to, talking about some of the things that I had gone through, and some people that had emailed me and told me about their experiences. And I really started to connect with people. I stopped trying to spam them, like my Facebook and Twitter and even my blog. I stopped trying to spam, and I really focused on connecting with people. And I did that just with us sharing similar experiences and similar stories. And then the crazy thing was, once I stopped trying to cram it down their throats, a few people actually bought the book, and they told their friends, and some people started posting it on social media. And I met some awesome bloggers, and I said, hey, can I send you a copy of the book to review? And they did, and I got a few more sales. And then I knew that I needed a lot more exposure because nobody knew I was alive. I had a blog that was getting probably 20 views a day, and 10 of them were me. So no traffic at all. And I started looking into how I could get traffic, and there's a lot of ways and SEO and this and that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try guest posting. And so I sent out probably like, I don't know, 20 guest posts, literally 20 guest posts. And the first 2 or 3 posts that I sent to the quote unquote big bloggers, they said, hey, you need to go back and read my blog and figure out what's going on here, see my audience interaction, get a feel for the writing. And I did that. And the first major guest post I ever landed was on 48days.com. And Dan Miller wrote a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love. And his book was the one that finally pushed me over the edge to take action. And that book changed my life. And so the guest post for him was just like, it was like coming full circle. It was amazing. He's got a large blog. And then after that, it was michaelhyatt.com, which is one of the most widely read blogs in the world.
Yeah.
And, the day that I guest posted on his blog, the very first day, I had 23,000 unique visitors just the first day. So, and then there's johnacuff.com. There's Goins Writer. Jeff Goins is crushing it right now.
Yeah.
So I started getting traffic. But then when the people came over, I knew I couldn't do what I did before. So I started using my story to connect with them and where they could relate to. And some people stuck around. They started reading, and they actually bought the book. And then, from the beginning of this year till now, the 2 books have sold a little bit over 64,000 copies.
That's incredible. Well done. Nice. So guest posting was really your big strategy. That's the one that really made things happen for you. And I think a good sign of that is that that's probably how I recognize your name and how I know your stuff, is that I've seen you. And this is what kind of happens if you hang out on the internet long enough, is that you have this I've seen this guy everywhere kind of feeling, and then you kind of get curious about that person, and this whole idea of having to see something 7 times in order for you to make a purchase is really kind of comes into play, because if you keep seeing the same person guest posting everywhere or on various websites that you trust and that you read regularly, it's something inside of you starts to realize, get curious about this person and start to, like you say, move over to their blog and to their work and to start seeing what they're doing on their own. So for people who are watching this and who want to kind of try this strategy and reach out to bigger bloggers and guest post, what lessons have you learned? Obviously, the first thing that you mentioned about pitching them and then them coming back to you and saying get to know their audience is a big one. Were there any other lessons that you learned along the way?
I think one thing that I've noticed now that people that want to guest post on my blog is they'll send me emails saying, hey, do you accept guest posters? I think if you want to guest post and it's a blog that you like, write the post, write something specifically for their blog,
Right.
send it to the blogger and say, hey, I wrote this specifically for your blog. I think it'll fit well. Don't ask if they guest post.
Right.
The content will speak for itself.
Yeah.
And the best example I think of is like Zen Habits.
Yeah.
And he says on there, I do not take any guest posts at all. Yet, if you've read his blog, you've seen he's had a bunch of guest posters.
Right.
It's the content speaks for itself. And then 2, I would say don't be fake. I don't know how else to say this, but don't be fake. The blogs that I send guest posts to, I read those every day.
Mm-hmm.
I tweet those every day. I'm on there commenting every day, and the blogger sees that.
Yeah.
He sees I'm part of the community. I'm not an outsider. So I would say, you're not just going to go on michaelhyatt.com for the first time, read through it, and then send them a guest post. I would say that you should be a part of the community already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then,
agree.
Yeah, and then like we talked about earlier, just get a feel for the blog itself and the writing, and don't just send out a general template post. Write something specifically for that blog.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of a story, something that happened yesterday. So I run Ladies Who Critique, which is a critique partner matching site for primarily women writers. We do accept men on there. But someone pitched me yesterday a guest post which was I'm trying to think of the title now. It was something like the 10 dating don'ts or something like this. It was like, hi, love the ladies who critique blog, read it religiously. Will you accept this guest post on dating? And I was like, I've never ever talked about dating or relationships or love or anything in that field. I mean, it's primarily writing and critiquing advice that goes up on the blog, and it was just like you say, you can tell when someone is being completely fake, and they've never commented on the blog or probably even read it. So just being on the other end of that when you're being pitched to, you
And
really can tell.
and you probably read the title and you just knew right away that it wasn't happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah. So that's just how it goes. So your online business is primarily the books, right? So you have two books. You have the difference between existing and living, and then the second one is
Tales of the everyday working man and woman.
okay. So this one came after the 9 month
That
plan.
Tales of the everyday working man and woman was the first book I wrote,
That was the
and
first one.
that was my journal.
Okay.
And then the difference between living and existing was once I figured out what I wanted in life, and that was the game plan and how I was going to do it.
Okay. Okay. So you have these two books, and then can you tell us about the other sort of streams of income that you have to support the rest of the business?
Well, as you know, I've been doing some public speaking,
Yeah.
and I'm terrified to publicly speak, and how I do it, I have no clue. I just get up there and I'm like somebody else, But I didn't want to do public speaking,
Hmm.
but earlier in May I actually signed a book deal with Sound Wisdom Books. I signed a 4 book deal, and once that book deal was the press release came out, organizer of a conference in West Virginia was like, hey, you've done well with self-publishing. Now you got a book deal, and you've only done it through social media. Can you come to it was called the BAM Social Media Conference. Can you come tell us how you did it? And I'm like,
Panic setting.
and then they're like, well, we're going to pay you and we're going to pay all your expenses. I'm like, okay, yeah,
Sold.
yeah. But when I got up there, it felt right. And then when I talked to people, and it wasn't, it was probably actually pretty bad, but I did it from my heart, and I wanted to help people. And afterwards, I was swarmed with people that just wanted one-on-one time, and I help. I'm still getting emails from people at that conference till today.
Right.
I'm more than happy to help out. And so once that had gone well, I'm like, what, maybe I could do this public speaking thing. And so I approached an event in New York, and I said, hey, I spoke in West Virginia. I've had some success with self-publishing, and now I have a book deal. I'd love to come share my real-life experience. And they said, sure. And then after that, it was just kind of like dominoes, because I could point to the conferences I had already. And then, yeah, once it's all said and done, now I'm gone 3 weeks out of the month in a different place. And so the public speaking has been very good.
Mm-hmm.
The books as you said, is the primary. And then I've also done some consulting for companies here where I live in Milwaukee on social marketing and how to truly connect with their customers online. And stuff like, if you have a company website and it says blog, and I go onto the blog page, I shouldn't see like an announcement of who got promoted and, where you're taking your trash out, and it's that's not a real blog, and people aren't interested in that. So I've done some consulting here where I live, and then also a lot of coaching. And coaching was another thing where I never intended to do it, but people had emailed me and said, hey, I'd love if you coach me on career stuff and also the whole self-publishing stuff. And so that is the fourth. And then the fifth thing is I've created a few products, and so those on my website.
Oh, fantastic. So tell us about what your ideal lifestyle is. So I have my ideal lifestyle, and Bob has his ideal lifestyle. But what is Kimanzi's ideal lifestyle, and what are you really working towards with this business?
Well, also for the difference between living and existing, a big part of that was moving. Our family is actually moving to Hawaii next year, and
Getting away from that snow.
Yeah.
No more snow.
We've gone to Hawaii and we've loved it. Just love the ocean and the island lifestyle, but the people are just it's amazing. And every time we've gone, we're like, man, this is home right here. So moving with a wife and then a 12, a 10, and a 9-year old, it's an adventure. But so we're gonna move to Hawaii next year. Um, and once we get there, and as close as we can get to the ocean, that would be ideal. But then writing, I love to write, and I can already in my head I know like the next 8 books I'm gonna write. You know, so just to continue writing, and then the speaking. I don't think I'm gonna do it like next year. I think I'm gonna be more strategic about it because this year being gone, every week it's a little too crazy. So next year maybe less events, but bigger events.
Right.
And if I could do more international events, those are, I was in Sydney, Australia a month ago, and that was it was amazing. It was amazing. And I got to get to London, of course,
Yeah.
to get there. And I'm talking to some organizers actually for London Social Media Week and talking about coming out there.
Nice.
In November, I'll be in Nairobi, Kenya for 2 weeks. So,
Wow. So you really are, yeah, living the dream.
yeah, writing, speaking, and,
And traveling.
okay.
Yeah. So I think you're a huge inspiration, and what you're doing is amazing. And but I do know on the flip side of that that some people are a little bit more risk averse, and perhaps they want to do what you're doing and they want to take the big leap from being in a miserable job to really working towards their ideal lifestyle. But what do you say to the people who come back and say to you, but I have a family to support, or I need X amount of money per month, and what advice do you give to these people to really make this transition without giving up their responsibilities?
Well, I would say first, it's going to be very hard. Don't be disillusioned about that. It's going to be very hard, but I think the biggest thing, the best thing you can do is your plan. You know, and it's going to take a lot of thought, and I talk about that in the book. You're going to have an idea of what you want to do, but the plan on how you do it's very important. And the plan might be something like you have to work overtime at a job you hate. I did that, but saving that money is going to get you closer towards your goal. And something I talk about is even before you go on this journey, I would set up, if you don't already have it, a good support system. And I have 2 friends and my brother, and we're all like a mini mastermind group, even though we don't officially call it that. But every time I failed and, I was ready to quit, they were there in my ear saying, you know what, you can't quit. You quit too many times in your life. So having that support set up ahead of time, because you're going to need somebody to lean on,
Yeah.
especially some of those days you're going to be depressed, you're going to be mad,
Yeah.
and having that support system and you pushing them as well, I think that's the key. So I would say, have the plan, have the support system, and then, I would say don't move too fast. You gotta. It's going to take a long time. People always say, and I hope it's not a cliche, but it's a marathon. It's not a race.
Right.
So you got to have some patience and realize that it's not going to happen overnight. For me, this was a year and a half process, and I would even argue it's longer than that because writing my first book, people are like, "How long did it take?" Well, it took a month, but I was thinking about this for 12 years. So it all came out.
Yeah.
So just move slowly, don't move too fast. Take it step by step. And I would say just, no matter what you do, you have to take some kind of action. You know, action is the key. And even if it's just a small step, you know what? That's one more small step closer towards your dreams. So just keep moving forward. And you know what? I delivered bread. I mean, literally, I delivered bread. And if I can do it, I know anybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kimanzi, I think you're awesome, and I think what you're doing is amazing, and I can't wait to see what happens next for you. I'm super excited about your move to Hawaii, and I hope you're going to be blogging about the whole adventure so we can all sort of follow it with you. I will leave a link to your book below, The Difference Between Living and Existing, a 9-month plan to radically change your life. And do you want to just tell people where else they can find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at talesofwork.com. That is my primary home. And then as far as our family started a blog to kind of chronicle our Hawaii journey, and that's excitingfamilyjourney.com. And we just kind of lay it out there, everything we're going through. We even talk about the finances and this and that, just so that if anybody else wants to do the same thing, maybe it could be like a little blueprint for them.
Right.
And then on Tales of Work and, of course, Exciting Family Journey, you can find all the social media places you'll find me.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks so much for talking with me today.
Thanks, Laura. This is an honor, and, I really appreciate what you do online. It's totally awesome.
Thank you. Catch you later. Bye-bye.